Hi, everyone. It's another episode today on the Wellness Recovery Hour with your host, Patience. And today we are excited to have a very dynamic and vibrant young leader to join us on the show today. We're going to be talking about an exciting topic. And I believe at the end of this episode, we will have shared some practical strategies that will definitely support you to achieve your mental, emotional, and physical balance. Remember, here on the Wellness Recovery Hour, our goal is to support you to achieve the balance you need in order to achieve your goals in life. And so we welcome you to today's episode, and we hope you enjoy it. With that being said, today we are excited to have with us Mr. Rodney C. Burris. And Mr. Rodney C. Burris is, he's a published author, he's an international speaker, and most interesting for me is that he is a youth advocate. I just love that aspect of his work. And without much ado, would like to connect with Rodney on a personal level. So I'm going to invite Rodney to tell us a little bit about himself. So welcome, Rodney. We are excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Wow, Patience actually told you guys everything. There's nothing else for me to say. Thank you all. Good night. No. My name is Rodney C. Burris. I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I have been to the beautiful continent of Africa only one time. And at that time, I was in Johannesburg for most of that trip. I lived with family. I slept in the rooms. I ate food with the aunts and the uncles. I was given a Zulu name. So that experience, Patience, for me was so different than kind of being at a resort, right? Or being at a hotel or being just at the beach somewhere. Like I was in community. I was with family. New family, because they weren't my actual family, but it felt like family. It felt like family. So I just really, really appreciate that. I believe that my work here on this earth is to help us. If you think about a seed, Patience, inside of a seed, right? One of the most popular trees in America is the oak tree. And the oak tree is huge, right? It's a big, mighty tree. Everything that oak tree is lives inside of the acorn seed, right? Wow. And that's the same for us. Everything that we are, everything that we can be was built into us, was designed into us. And I think my portion here on this earth is to do a little bit of that watering, a little bit of that nurturing to help that come out, right? So that instead of trying to have a better relationship with my whoever, friend, cousin, parent, boss, coworker, it doesn't matter trying to get them to treat me better. If I become different and better, the world reflects back to me who I am. Relationships are mirrors, right? Relationships reflect back to us who we actually are. Our life reflects to us who we actually are. Not what we profess, but don't really believe, right? But our actual truth is reflected to us. So the best way to get that image in the mirror to be different and better is not to wipe the mirror, right? Is not to draw makeup on the mirror, but it's to become different and better here. And in my own way, I think I contribute with that. It's lovely. I enjoy it. I work on it myself. I'm so grateful that you invited me here today, Patience.
Oh my goodness, Rodney. That was breathtaking. Listeners, you can tell that today we are in for an exciting time together here on the Wellness Recovery Hour. Thank you so much, Rodney, for making time again. And that was a really connecting introduction of yourself. Thank you for sharing that with us. So
Thank you.
Today we're talking about emotional intelligence. Oh my God, I just love this topic. I know that this is going to help us become better and, manage ourselves properly as we continue to build relationships in our schools, community, work, church, and, in the global community at large. So, Rodney, to begin today's conversation, first of all, I'd like for you to tell us what is emotional intelligence and how important is emotional intelligence in our everyday interactions?
Oh, I love that question, Patience. Okay, so let's start with what is emotional intelligence?
Right.
Emotional intelligence has 4 components, right? The first component is awareness of self. How do I feel? I'm going to come to that in a second, but that's my favorite place to start because a lot of times, many of us patients, I'm going to use an unnecessary big word, right? I should use small words. I'm going to use a big word. We conflate the idea of what we think and how we feel. And those aren't necessarily the same thing. Can I give an example, right? So let's say, you and I were supposed to be meeting for lunch, right? Some Thursday somewhere. And let's say you showed up 35 minutes late, right? Now, I feel ignored. I feel disappointed. I feel worried. Where's Patience? I hope she's okay. I feel forgotten about. I feel unimportant. I feel annoyed, right? Those are feelings.
Right.
What we also say is, I just feel that Patience isn't a good person. I just feel that if Patience would have managed her time, well, those aren't feelings, those are thoughts. And a lot of times we don't really know how to distinguish those two things. What I think, the meaning that I attribute something based on how I feel. And so the number one component of emotional intelligence is how do I feel? Right? That's the first component. The second component is based on how I feel, what behavior do I do? Because I could feel annoyed, forgotten about, etc. But Patience could have had a very real reason why she was late. So if I allow my actions to be one of displaying anger and just, acting however in a very unkind way, and it turns out that Patience was in a car accident, heaven forbid, right? But if something like that happened, maybe she wasn't in a car accident. Maybe the cars in front of her were, and the road was stuck, and she couldn't get, she was trying to get to me, and her battery was low. So I don't have to act based on how I feel. I can choose my behavior. That's high emotional intelligence when we make those choices.
Right.
The third is putting myself in Patience's shoes, in her seat, in her walk of life. How does she feel right now? She might be annoyed. She might be hot. She might be tired, right? She might be aggravated because things happening that she had no control of. So if I can just take a moment, my feelings are my truth, and there's nothing wrong with my truth. But what also is going on? Being able to kind of in the moment take a breath and use my own annoyance, my own feelings as indicators to say, wait a minute, other people are here. Other people have feelings. What might she be feeling? What might be? That's very wise. It's high emotional intelligence, an indicator of high emotional intelligence. And then the fourth thing is behavior. So you have awareness of feelings and the behavior of self, awareness of the feelings of others, and then what do I do? Right? How do I interact based on that? So one is self-management and awareness. The other one is relationship management and awareness. Those 4 components collectively make up emotional intelligence.
Right. Wow. Wow.
You asked me a 2-part of that question. You said, what is emotional intelligence and how important is it?
Yes. How important is it in our everyday interactions? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, can I start with work for a sec?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a study that was done in the United States by this big important company. It's called Forbes. And Forbes did a study that showed that the higher a person goes in their promotion, the lower their emotional intelligence scores are. What does that mean? That means we get promoted in work based on how good we are at doing the thing, but not based on how well we are relating, connecting, understanding the people. And so because we can produce money, profitability, right? Outcomes, that's great, but there's people connected to those money, to that money, to those outcomes. And it seems as though, at least in America, the higher the person goes, all the way up to the presidential office, what they call the C-suite, the chief operating officer and the CEO and all of those sort of things, they have the lowest scores of emotional intelligence, right? Probably great IQ. There's nothing wrong with how well they think, but maybe their ability to communicate how they think based on how others are feeling, scores, the studies show that those scores go down. Well, if that was only true in the workplace, we would have nothing to worry about, right? Just get those people better. The problem is people are people are people are people.
Right.
Everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so because of that, regardless of the type of relationship it is, whether it is a romantic relationship, whether it's a sibling relationship, whether it's a parental relationship, the friction in our relationships often is tied to how I feel is more important in the moment than how anybody else feels. And what's actually the case is, okay, I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible.
Right.
I follow Patience online, everybody. I'm a big fan of Patience Johnny, right? And so I think we have a similar background in how we were brought up, Patience, from our childhood.
Right.
And so what I was taught is the highest form of dealing with others in everyday life, right, is being able to be almost like a servant, right? Kind of be humble and kind of allow others. Well, Patience, as I've gotten older, my birthday's coming up. I'm going to be 42.
Ooh.
And what'd you say?
Oh my God, that's exciting news.
I'm very happy, right? My birthday's coming up. And what I've learned maybe about 5 to 7 years ago,
right,
it was an older gentleman. He wrote something on this wall, and it's up in the college that I was working at for a while. He said, if your vision of a better future doesn't include yourself, passion is incomplete, right? Your love, your desire for others, for humanity is incomplete. If my desire for a better relationship is forgiveness only, while ignoring the other person in that situation, myself, I am not taking care of one of God's children. That's included. Now, when it's about us, we are very comfortable. Yes, God will take care of me. I'm fine, right? We're good with that. However, if there were 3, 5 people in a situation and we said, Patience, pick one of them to ignore. Patience, of those people over there, choose one whose feelings don't matter. We would struggle with that.
Yeah.
But we're okay with choosing one that doesn't matter when the one that doesn't matter is self-sacrifice. That's incomplete. It's incomplete. The 4 components of emotional intelligence is inclusive of the vessel that I also am. And when we only approach relationships and dealing, the less skillful of us approach it from the me, mine. Right. I'm mad. You should. That's the less skill. The ones that of us that are trying to grow and become different and better say, you know what? I'll be the bigger person. Right? You know what? I'll let it go. I'll walk away. And that's good because it's progression. Right. But the ones of us that are really embracing who we are and who we each were created to be approaches it with how do we win.
Mhm.
I'm going to say this and I'm going to stop talking your head off for a moment because I could do this. I love this in our
Right.
conversation. Patience, something that I learned was this quote right here. And I
Mhm.
wish that I had like images on the screen so people could visualize this.
Mhm.
But for those of us that are listening, if you can visualize what I'm about to say like this, when we change I to we, even illness becomes wellness.
Wow. That's really profound. That's really profound, Rodney. And I mean, everything you said resonates so well with me, given the fact that when we see and think differently, we act differently.
Yes.
And when we act differently, we get different results. So I mean, emotional intelligence is so important in our everyday interactions. And I'm just so excited that you gave those vivid descriptions of real life, situations that we need to consciously
Yes.
be aware of how, you know, the way we show up also affects other people, and it influences the kind of, relationships and, engagement, conversations,
Yes.
and everything that happens around us. Emotional intelligence has a role to play in that. And thank you so much, Rodney. That was really profound. That was really
Thank you.
profound.
I
Indeed,
learned most of what'd you say?
yeah, indeed. Your very last part of the earlier submission, as in when we change the I in illness to we,
Yes.
it becomes wellness. And how
Wellness.
refreshing is that?
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I think that that's true. There's some things patients call universal laws,
Mm,
right? And a
mm,
universal law is applicable universally, right?
right.
So, for example, a universal law, every action has an equal and opposite reaction,
Mm,
right?
right.
Energy in motion will continue to be in motion unless acted upon by others. That's a universal law,
Right.
right?
Right.
Another universal law, energy, life, love, dreams,
Mm,
passion can't be created nor destroyed. It can only change forms. This is why there's such a thin line between love and hate. This is why, in America, we have this thing that is called crimes of passion.
mm,
And a crime of passion is, I love you so much. I don't know how to process. I haven't watched patients' shows.
mm,
I haven't dealt with me and how to metabolize and digest my emotional self. I
right.
just feel. And I feel so, so, so much that I act out unwisely, unintelligently. Now we have a bigger problem. It's a crime
Mm,
of passion. There was no premeditation. I didn't think about this before. I
mhm,
didn't have a plan. I wasn't even out to get you. I actually met with you to have a great evening,
mm.
but I got so overwhelmed with my feelings that it's a thin line between what those feelings are. You know something, patients? I
Yeah.
saw a movie. I get a lot of inspiration from the simplest little things,
Right.
puppies, right?
Right.
Food, like
Mm,
you name it. So I saw a movie and it was a children's movie
mm,
and it was about emotions.
mhm,
And I realized something. I realized two things about emotions. First of all, every negative emotion
mm,
is actually the counterpart of a positive feeling,
mm.
right? I'm gonna give you an example.
Wow.
Nervous, watch this. How about this? I wish that I could be like, I'm so smart. I thought about this. I got this from a kid's movie. I just kind of just mapped it out bigger than the simple movie, but the inspiration came from, you know,
It really, got into me, like every negative expression of an emotion is actually a positive
positive.
feeling.
That's right. And but the negative emotion has value. So I'm gonna get
Right,
to that was the second thing. But
right.
let me tell you about the first thing first. So the negative feeling, for example, of nervousness,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
It's an uncomfortable anticipation about something bad that I don't want to happen. Well, that's because instead of the bad thing, I hope this good thing happens, right? That's called excitement. That's anticipation, right? So one is kind of like, it's trepidation, it's fearful, but the other side of that is looking forward to. So if we trained ourselves from the time that we were 6 years old and missing teeth, right? When we're very, very little and we're sitting down on the floor, if we taught each other, yes, it's okay to be nervous, right? Yes, it's okay to be angry, sad, whatever it is, but let that be an indicator that you actually want what? If you and I were going to go eat, I'm going to use you and I this whole time we talk, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So if you and I were going to go get some lunch, right? Okay. And so I say, Patience, you want to get some food? And you're like, yeah, let's go get something to eat. Are you hungry? Oh, Rodney, I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten all day. Great. What do you want to eat? If your first response is, oh, I don't know, that's not helpful, right? That doesn't get us closer. But here we go. If I say, so I'm going to say American food because I don't know Nigerian cuisine very well. Okay. All right. So, typical American food. Pizza, hamburgers, hot dogs, okay. All right. So if I say, do you want to get this, Patience? Oh, I don't want to get that. I had that earlier. Do you want to get this? My stomach, because yesterday I don't really want to get. Well, Patience, how about we go somewhere we get something sweet, dessert?
Right.
Well, it's still early for dessert, Rodney. I don't know if I want to get dessert yet. Well, Patience, what do you want? I don't know. So that's a simple example of how so many of us actually are. We know what we don't want, but we haven't done the self-work to figure out, well, what do I want? How do I verbalize what do I want? I just don't want to be angry. I'm just tired of crying. That's great, but that doesn't get us closer to the meal, right? So what do I want? How do I specify that? How do I give myself permission to even know that it's okay to want something better? Because sometimes people that's raised like us, we don't know that it's okay to desire. We know how to sacrifice. We know how to hold back.
So
right?
much.
We're great at that. We have a PhD doctorate level at being able to, you know what? I don't need, you guys go ahead. I'm fine. We're great at that. But some of us patients need now at this stage practice in saying it's okay for me to have a desire that's inclusive of us all. That's okay, right? It's not just I can have a selfish desire. But once I include, so what do I want? Negative emotions are the inverse of something positive. Taking the time to figure out, okay, I'm feeling scared. What does that mean? Because fear is I don't want this thing that hasn't happened yet to happen. That's a belief, right? That's feeling plus a thought. That's belief. Well, what also is a feeling plus thought? Belief, faith, right? And so instead of living in the I don't want this to happen, we use it as an indicator of I do want this to happen. This other thing. I hope that this outcome does. I hope that Patience makes it on time. I hope, and then live in that. You know what? It's already happened. The good is I feel it. I know it. I walk in it. Because then we condition our brains. And this is kind of going into a little bit of neuroscience about the mind, right? So the mind is very intangible, but there's a brain component to what happens in the mental intangible space. And in the brain space between the synapses, right? When we're producing neurochemicals based on how we feel, here's the amazing thing about it. On an intangible level, Patience, we are the only creature on this beautiful green earth that repunishes ourselves for things we've already done. We live in it again. I feel bad all over again. You know
Right.
what? I'm just not going to go. That's the feeling state of that.
Right.
Neurochemically, we reproduce the the components in the brain that bathe our brains in the chemical mixture of
Mm.
what that experience was. And so what happens is, although it already happened, our brain produces it anew. Our brain produces it anew. And so what happens is our current lived reality, patients, is actually just a replica of our past situation. Day after day,
Right.
we go around the same mountain,
Right.
same
So it
mountain.
become more like a cyclical, kind of a thing. It just tells me how important it is, like emotional intelligence will not just happen. Like, we need to be intentional about it. We need to be conscious about, how our words, our feelings, our behavior is
Mhm.
also impacting on other people and other situations and circumstances around us. So what comes
Absolutely.
up for me is, that intentionality,
Mhm, mhm,
the
mhm.
intentionality and consciousness that is needed in, practicing emotional intelligence, or, giving ourselves permission to even be, conscious about, being aware about how, we're showing up, our words,
Yes.
everything that we're doing impacts on other people. And I like that you made reference to the fact that it first has to start with us as individuals. Once we become conscious and aware, then we can translate that into, other people, how we are interacting and showing up with
Mhm,
other people and situations. So
mhm.
it's really, insightful.
You know
Insightful.
what's hard for us, some of us, right? Me,
Mm,
myself.
right.
One of the things that for years I struggled with
Mm,
that I didn't know, right?
mhm,
Oh, gee whiz, is I didn't know, especially in a relationship sense,
mhm,
I didn't know how to make myself happy,
mm.
right? I didn't know what that meant. I thought it was I thought it was the job of the person I'm with. You're here to make me happy. I'm here to make you happy. And together it's a great fit.
Right.
If we go back to what that older mentor said,
Mm,
if your vision of a better future is not inclusive of yourself, your
mhm,
passion is incomplete.
right.
So if being happy in the future, in my mind, the way I think about it, involves what I do for you, what I do for you, we're missing the stream of also what am I doing for me, right?
Right.
So we have these lights around here.
Mm,
Every single light has a negative and positive terminal. It has two wires. There's one going out and one coming
yes.
back in.
Yeah.
If it only had a positive wire, give, there would be no
Hmm.
light.
I wonder how that would have looked like, you know. Absolutely, absolutely. I
And
mean, this makes a lot of sense, Rodney, because we cannot give what we don't have, right? We cannot give what we don't have. And I mean, I can relate with what you just shared around, it's something I had to do. I mean, I
mhm,
had to learn to be happy on my own. I had to learn, you know, to enjoy my own company. I had to learn to, you know, um, embrace my quiet space
yeah,
and
yeah.
comfort myself, how to keep myself, I mean, keep my own company. And once you have um, mastered that act of
Mhm,
enjoying your company, loving yourself enough, trust me, you are better positioned. You're grounded to give it out to other people, because there is no way you're going to be kind to someone when you're not kind to yourself. There is absolutely, it's something that I learned too. There is no way I'm going to show compassion to you, Rodney, if I do not show myself compassion. And so, I mean, it's the way we show up and how we engage and interact with other people is indeed a reflection on ourselves. So this makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
When we have people in our lives that's trying to love us, give to us, spend time with us, be kind to us, if we had a container, right, like a bucket or a bowl, and it represented our emotional self, our soul, right? So the soul is the seat of the emotions, right? Is where our feeling space resides.
Right.
Life, growing up, experiences puts holes in that bucket, right? Just living, and it happens. What we haven't done as well as we could do, patience, teach the 6-year-olds with the missing teeth how to pay attention to when they get a hole in their bucket and how to patch it, right? And so as we learn how to not just protect the hole, no, leave me alone. You know what? It's something about you. This is not going to work. That's protecting the hole, but it's not patching. It's not repairing the hole. I'm still walking around with this hole. So even when I love myself, it's empty. Yeah. Even when I spend time with myself, it's not enough. And you could never give me enough because I haven't done enough to patch those holes. I don't even know I have the holes.
Absolutely.
I didn't even realize that when my grandma said that one thing, that it hurt me. You know, I learned something from my mother. This was a tough example. We had a situation where we were homeless when I was a kid for a little while. And but it wasn't a long time. And my mother patient says, I don't like when you tell that story because it makes me sound like a bad parent, right? Like it makes me sound like I didn't do a good job. There were so many other circumstances, some beyond her control, right? That she couldn't even affect. As a matter of fact, the beautiful thing that my mom did during that period, she took us out of a very tough situation. So if we only looked at it as Rodney's mom had them homeless, it doesn't look good, right?
It does.
But if we zoom out and we look at the big picture and say, wow, they were in that situation. They were not safe. And in order to get them safe, she took them out. It was a life or death kind of situation. She took us out abruptly. We didn't have anywhere to land, but had we stayed, you and I patients probably wouldn't have this conversation.
Be here talking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I don't always get the opportunity in a short session to share the broader context of that situation, but it's not lost on me, and I'm glad I got to share some of that here now.
Right.
With that being said, that moment of time that we were just kind of living in a car and driving around and in a what they call a shelter, right? You know, it was profoundly impactful on my being, on my sense of self. And my mom, I remember a couple of years ago, she said, she calls me by my middle name. My middle name. So for those of you that see Rodney C. Burris, the C stands for Christopher. And she calls me Chris. She said, Chris, it wasn't even that long. It was only a short time. And I didn't know how to respond to that because that's true. It was only a short time. And then I thought of a very tough example. And this is a little sensitive, patience. If a person experienced a bodily violation, right? That experience might not have been the longest time. It might have been a moment.
Right.
And it could have profoundly changed their sense of self, their emotional bowl that they hold themselves in, their why they protect and interact differently in this world. Not because it was a 30-year experience, it might have been a moment. But when it relates to the intangible things of the self,
Yeah.
soulful spiritual things, time doesn't really factor in.
Right.
Right?
Right.
The time is a function of physicality. It's a measurement of physical things changing. But on the soulful level, a person can have a profoundly life-changing experience in the briefest of moments and be a very different person coming out of that. And so when I shared that with my mom, I was like, "You're right, Mom. But we wasn't living on the street for 3, 4, 5 years, right? That wasn't what it was. And we weren't actually living on the street. We were in the shelter, we were in a car, right? We were like in these really nasty hotels, right? The very low, but we didn't have a home, a residence for that period. It changed my sense of self. I say all of that to say, because we often haven't encouraged each other to take inventory of what are those moments in your life that have profoundly impacted you,
Right.
then we don't know that we even have them, let alone that they need to be fixed and how to even repair them.
Right.
And so we live a life of limping, overcompensating for a muscle that, yes, was damaged. But if we went through the process of rehabilitation, then I can interact with my patients a lot better.
Right.
Life. That's a major part of my work.
Right.
I feel like a surgeon a little bit. Like, this is what we're going to do. And then here's what you do on your own, right? Like, here's what we're going to do together.
Right.
And now teams, families, schools, churches, whatever. These are the things that we can do individually to continue this process of moving from illness to wellness.
Wow. Wow, that's really profound and insightful, Rodney. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. And that takes me to my next question.
Yes.
So tell me about a time when your mood, the way you feel, kind of altered, should I say altered or impacted on your performance, either positively or negatively, and how was that like?
Patience, I don't like this question. Okay.
Well, so again, we're talking about emotional intelligence, and I know that it's going to kind of bring out some of the, personal experiences and in real time. And what I like about this discussion is that, it's really helping us connect with real time situations. And so we would also learn, I know that emotional intelligence will apply in several different areas of our lives. However, I think what is good about this conversation is that it helps us to connect with the, real person experiences. I know we would all have unique experiences, in our various settings or spaces, wherever we find ourselves, but it would also, help us to connect in real time situations. So tell me about a time when your mood altered your performance, and how.
So this is a very deeply personal example.
Right.
And I'm going to share it intentionally because
thank you.
Thank you for making
sharing.
You do a good job of making the space safe. So
right.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there was a member of my family that, in my opinion, was doing wrong to me for a very long time. And I protected them in my mind, right? Because they don't know any better. They're a weaker person, and the whole bigger person dynamic that we talked about, right?
Right.
And but I was so offended, right? And I remember there was a final instance of transgression, right?
Mm.
They were wrong. So I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, "Man, I'm sick of this. It's been a long, long, long time. It's the same kind of situation over and over again. I'm done." I'm telling you this, patience. I was on level 100. I was so mad.
Mm.
I was so angry. I was so offended. And by the time I was having that conversation, I had been feeling like that for about 2 weeks. Very mad, very angry, very justified in how I felt.
Right.
And my friend said something to me that I didn't like, Mr. Jari. This is why you got to keep good friends around. You know how I say iron
Mm.
sharpens iron? Well,
Right.
when he said this, I wanted to fight him. Like
Right.
no appreciation, no sharpen or no, we gotta fight now.
Mm.
Now we gotta fight, right? But it
Mm.
was a good comment that he gave me.
Right.
And this is what he said. He said, "Bro, I've been listening to you talk about this a long time."
Mm.
He said either one or two things.
Mhm.
Either this person is not as innocent and unaware and weak of, they don't know any better. Either
Right.
they're not that, they're more capable and aware and intentful
Mhm.
than what you're admitting to yourself.
Mm.
Or he said, or bro, you, they are that weak. They
Mm.
are that unaware. They are not not able to control or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And you, because they keep overpowering you and walking on you and making you feel ungood about yourself, you're actually less, you're lower than they are, because a weak person is consistently picking on you, making you feel bad, taking advantage of you. He said,
Mm.
I don't know which one it is, bro. He was like, but they can't keep taking advantage of such a strong person,
Mm.
but they're a very weak person themselves. It's one or the other.
Right.
And it was that moment, patience, that I realized that he and I had to fight. There
Mm.
was no other recourse.
Right.
No, but we were on the phone. I don't
Mm.
know if we were in person, we might have had to tussle a little bit. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe patience,
Right.
maybe I don't know. But he said that to me. I didn't like it. Right.
Mm.
I took a moment. I had to get off the phone with him because his words hit home.
Right.
Because what actually was happening was there was something about my dynamic
Mm.
with this family member that I wasn't admitting to myself. I wasn't
Right.
allowing myself to, right? So his words found that spot
Mm.
and I didn't like it, right? So I
Right.
was like, hey, bro, I'm gonna hit you later. I'll talk to you later, right? I got off the phone with him and I'm walking and I'm kind of talking to God and I'm kind of
Mm.
praying and I'm kind of just expressing and I'm very angry and I'm very self-justified.
Mm.
Right. I know that I know it because I got evidence, patience. I got
Right.
dates, times. I know that these things happen and this was the fault that I took. And okay. In the middle of all of that,
Mm.
patience Ajari, I had this amazing moment of clarity that I
Mhm.
also didn't like.
Right.
I didn't like this either. Let me tell you what happened here. It was almost as if I can give a visual of what it felt like, what it seemed like was going on.
Mm.
It was like it built up to this fever level, right? Just up.
So high.
And then all of a sudden, the roles reversed.
Mm.
I was in their position,
Mm.
and I heard them tell me, for the past 10 years, Rodney, when you do this, this hurts. I don't appreciate this. I don't like this. I feel ignored about. I heard everything that they had been trying to communicate to me for about the same length of time, in the way I brushed it off. Oh, that's not important.
Right.
That's an opinion. If they grow up a little bit, they won't even feel like that, right? Really, if they saw things how I'm trying to say, it wouldn't even be
Right.
ignored, dismissive, all of the things that I was feeling,
Mm-hmm.
affronted, assaulted because this hurts me. They have been trying to tell me this for about a decade, patience. and I dismissed it as unimportant for the same
Right.
amount of time. And I felt that betrayal, that dismissal, that assault that I was feeling, receiving it, I felt it from the giving, and then I felt it receiving it from that lens. I don't know how. It was so many switches, right? It was so many place changes that happened in that moment. And I realized I cannot believe I had no idea that I was creating within this person those feelings. I had no idea that I was doing it. It messed me up. I
Right.
wasn't okay because I felt innocent and self-justified.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that I was just as guilty, just as much blood
Right.
on my own hands,
Right.
because what they were trying to communicate to me that was important to them, to their sense of self and their core, wasn't important to me.
Right.
And what I was trying to communicate to them that was important to me, to my sense of self, to my core, like it wasn't important to them. And so we were going through this cycle of dismissing, stepping on, ignoring, pushing down, neglect, this hope for about a decade. And the emotional experience that I had in that moment, patience, changed me. I wish I could say it was magically like immediate. It took some time. It took some time. But that moment, I was actually at my mom's house. I was at my mom's house. I was walking around her room in the back. I was mad. I was so mad. But I was in the house by myself and I was free. So I could talk and I was just, and I remember I cannot, until I fix these things about myself, I have no right to come at Patience Ajari with this whole, you're wrong, you're doing me wrong, and I'm unhappy, you're hurting, until I also simultaneously address what Patience has been trying to tell me for 10 goddamn years. I have no grounds to sit on my pedestal and expect her to change for me. And so because of that, I began this process of trying to figure out, how do I become different and better? Because I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy could even operate in that way and be unaware. Who are you, bro? If I had to take a quiz or a test or an assessment and they would say, Rodney, could you do something like this to a person and not even know it? I'm like, no, not me. That guy in the mirror? Nah, I'm too. I know no, it wouldn't be me. It absolutely was. And I didn't like it. And so I started this process of, how do I change and become different and better? How do I become different and better? And that's something that was an emotional experience that changed my behavior. It took some years and I think I'm still working on it.
Right.
But that's when I learned, well, what makes me happy? Well, what do I want? Well, who am I?
Right.
Some good stuff, good questions to ask, uncomfortable questions to ask.
Wow.
Very healthy overall.
As you were sharing, what came up for me is how challenging it is sometimes for us to communicate our thoughts, our feelings with clarity. And sometimes we just get stuck in our inability to really communicate those feelings and thoughts whilst demonstrating empathy. Again, I'm speaking from experience, like personal experience. I found myself in situations where, just like you shared, you are engaging with people. I mean, whether it's with my mom. In my case, it's with my mom. We're having conversations. I'm trying to get her to understand my feelings and thoughts about a particular behavior or a particular thing she said. She doesn't seem to get it. And on the other hand, she's also trying to get me to understand her perspective, her reasons and motivations for saying what she said or for having done what she did. And I also don't seem to get it. Right. And then in that process, it's like I choose to shut out. Like I choose to just, close out.
Protect us.
Yeah. And just, just to keep the peace, because I feel like you don't get it. You're just not allowing yourself to understand what I'm trying to share or communicate with you. So then I just close out. And as you were sharing, what came up for me was, how does this even make it any better? How do we even deal with that challenge of being able to communicate our feelings and thoughts with clarity? And what came up for me is demonstrating empathy in the process of doing that, where we want to just, see ourselves on the other side of the person who is listening or receiving, our communication. And in demonstrating empathy, then we get to also create a space to think that it is possible they might not understand or feel what we feel. They might not, experience what we're experiencing. And even with that, how do we still show kindness? How do we still show understanding? How do we still embrace them in their uniqueness of not understanding or not getting what we are trying to communicate? But how do we still, give ourselves grace?
Yes.
And still embrace that, uniqueness of they not getting what we're trying to say, and yet we still embrace and, create that empathetic space. So
that's tough, isn't it? That's hard to do.
It's really hard. It takes a great deal of, consciousness and awareness. Like you have to be in a position where you're intentionally demonstrating empathy whilst engaging with people who may not understand your feelings and thoughts, and yet you want to show yourself grace and show them grace as well.
Yes, it's really tough to do, and especially in light of this whole concept that relationships, any of them, parental or any of them, relationships, you know the term relay, right? When the little kids, they run the relay race. Well, what is a relay? You go out, you come back. That's what a relationship is, right? Relationships are relaying to us who we are, relaying the information of self. They're reflective, right? Universal law. Universal law, you see it on the smaller scales, you see it on the larger scales, right? Universal law, let me give you a very simple example, and then I'm going to go into what I'm saying about the relay. If you think about the structure of an atom, right? There's a big, powerful center, and circling around it are the electrons, right? And you have the neutrons, and they're kind of all orbiting. And if you look at a solar system, it's a big, powerful center, and it's a universal principle, right? Okay. Well, relationships are reflective. That's a universal principle. For example, the closer two people get physically, in proximity, and they're looking eye to eye, what do I see in your eyes? A reflection of myself. Literally. Because relationships are reflective of who I am. And if I need you to have a better, different image of me in your eyes, I try to convince you to treat me better. I try to get you to see me differently. I work on what image I am that's even being projected. It's a simple concept, but we're not taught this. right? Like we're not taught that this is how relationships are. So what happens is people come into our lives at a time when they are reflective of the type of being that we are. So
Right.
one of the things that I'm grateful of, I didn't get to tell you this, but I'm gonna tell you now, right?
Awesome.
You, for me, Patience,
Right.
I told you I follow you. I see
Right.
how you move. And I only get to see the little bit that you share. Yes.
Right.
You coming this close into my space, my orbit, my circle, tells me who I am.
Right.
If this Patience Ajare is coming to me, this moment of time, it means the work on self that I've been doing has gotten me to the patience phase of my life, right? It has gotten me to the place where I'm now reflective of the people that are close to me. It's how relationships work.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, because then if I'm emulating kindness and empathy and all of that, I'm definitely going to attract people who are definitely going to reflect that back to me. And that makes life so beautiful.
That's right. What makes it tough is when we get people that reflect to us things that we don't like. Give me an example. My dad told me, my dad worked, he was a builder.
Right.
Built houses and buildings in downtown and all that kind of stuff. When I started doing the kind of work that involved writing books and doing talks and giving lectures and working at the college setting, my dad told me more than once, but I remember one time in particular, yeah, I mean, what you tired for, son? You don't do real work. You don't do real work. It germinated. That seed went in there. And I wasn't fully aware that it sunk in so deep.
Right.
I wasn't aware that I had to pull those weeds out, that I had to overturn that soil. I wasn't, so it grew. And so fast forward years later, in the back of my mind, this isn't real work. You shouldn't really get paid for this. You should be struggling, Rodney. You're not doing real work. But I'm seeing people in my sessions crying. That's not cool, right? Like that's not, you don't go to a public seminar and hug a stranger. You don't go to your job and some guy comes in and does a workshop and now people are in tears. And it doesn't always happen, but it's happened several times, right?
Right.
In the school setting, you have teenagers, 15, 16, nobody wants to cry there. It's happened, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm doing real work. I'm really connecting with people.
Right.
And in my mind, I don't think so. In my mind, I hold the truth of what my dad said. You're not doing real work. Fast forward, I was working with a multi-million-dollar company. I was providing mindset training for their staff, and we never executed the contract fully. So what that meant was I wasn't getting paid. Right. So I was doing all of this work, but I wasn't actually getting paid. So I'm talking to the gentleman, hey, we got to really look at this. We got to work. Nah, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. I'm showing up. I'm traveling, right? I'm going to different places. I'm jumping on calls. This is just a few years ago, Patience. And one day, me, him, my business manager, and one of his colleagues had a horrendous argument, right? And I'm telling you this because I think sometimes, people like, oh, Rodney's so nice. He just smiles. I got teeth. And I don't mind the combat. Like, I don't mind the competitive nature, right? I don't mind bumping bodies. It is what it is. It's my truth, Patience. It's my truth.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So yeah, I'm the type that, like, if we're really getting into it, like how like a shark or a wolf or something like that, if they taste blood, a lion tastes blood, those animals don't run from that.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's go time. Now it's go time. I got a little bit of that, Patience. I got a little bit of that, right?
Everyone does.
Everybody does, right?
Everyone
so
does.
we're having this conversation. the four of us on this phone call. And it's very elevated, right? And one of the things that the guy said to me, he said, well, Rodney, I don't know why you're even expecting really to get paid. You're not even really doing real work. Why did he tell me that, patient?
Oh.
Why did he say that? Because he has to reflect to me who I really am. He has to. Everybody in my life does. It's a universal principle. They have to. So if we are made in the image and likeness of God, right? And we are his children, then that means everybody that we come in contact must be in the image and likeness of who we are. It has to. If your daddy's name is Ajari, that's who you are, right? So how he is and how he interacts in this world is who we are. As I am, so you will be. It's a principle. He has to reflect to me. So the good part of it is patience reflects to me who I am and who I'm becoming. That's why she's here.
Right.
But at that time in my life, I wasn't getting it.
Right.
And what I did, admittedly, it was his fault he said that to me. Not the seed that's germinated that I need to uproot. Not the sense of self that I have to work on. You shouldn't have said that to me. I trusted you. I liked you. I thought we were different and better. I thought we were but I thought we were friends too. Why would you say? He has to. Because I believe it. I won't put more on you than you're able to bear. I'm going to give you not the good stuff, the desire of your heart. And if in your heart you truly hold that I'm not worth a good relationship, I'm not worth whatever it is, then the principles in place mandate that we must receive that which we are able to bear, that we do want within our hearts.
Right.
So to get a new one, new outcomes, new results, create in me a clean heart.
Right.
Renew. That's it's here. It's not in me getting patience to talk to me better or call me more or whatever it is, or get the guy to do, or get my mom or my dad to do, or my brother. It's not that. Right. That's a form of dialysis. So instead of appreciating that God made my system self-sufficient, I should be able to eat, cleanse myself, rejuvenate myself.
Right.
When that breaks down, I have to get it pumped out of me, my life source, my blood, through a machine to get cleansed, to put back in me. Something I learned from my dad when he was going through dialysis and having that happen to him is that it's life draining. Not only does it filter out impurities, it filters out the vitality. So he would go through that. His liquid physical blood was clean, but it was also depleted. He had no life. He would be, just so drained and moving. And that's because that's giving you my sense of happiness, my sense of validation, my self-worth is a dialysis that's always going to have diminishing results. And until I fix the organs, the systems, until I improve, you can't treat me any better than who I actually am on the inside. Thus is life.
Right. Wow. Oh, this is so revealing, Rodney. So, what is something that you're proud of?
So many things. I am very proud, Patience. I feel like I discovered the truth. And the word I really want to use is uncovered as opposed to discovered. Discovered kind of means it wasn't there, or kind of like create and establish something brand new. But uncovered respects and realize it was already there.
It's been there the whole time.
It's already
You just haven't tapped into it.
That's right. That's right. So this was something that I'm grateful that I believe I uncovered
Right.
for myself, because I think thousands and millions of people throughout
Right.
history around the world may have
Right.
already known this and been living in this. So what I'm going to say is a little challenging for people who grew up like me,
Mm.
people who grew up in a very austere revelation and understanding of biblical principles,
Mm.
right? It's going to challenge it a little bit.
Right.
Here we go. Not only, okay, here we go. God's name, I am that I am, right? Okay. Fast forward another part of the beautiful book. Don't use my name
Mm.
in vain.
Right.
What's my name? I am that I am. I am that I am. Tell them I said I am that I am. Patience. Every single time we say, I am sick, I am scared, I am unable, we are utilizing the name in a way it was not intended to be used. And every single time we say, I am able, I am worthy, I am loving, I am getting better, I am going to see a different day. Every single time we do, we are adding the praiseworthiness to his name. But what happens is we associate I am sick with us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Right.
we associate you are worthy away from us. But where's the temple? Where does I am live? The word of God is where? Not be even in our mouth. It's us. I'm in you and you and the Father. And it's one, it's a oneness. The oneness is the only way things like last shall be first and the first should be last makes sense. It's a singularity. And so
Right.
appreciating that the oneness, the I am is within me, doesn't make me high and mighty. Oh, I just realized that I have the Spirit of God. Yes. But what does that also mean? So does patience. So does that little baby. So does that drunk person. So does the guy that told me that I ain't worth money. So does my dad. So does my mom. So does the evil, unkind, bigoted. There's not a patience. There's not a anything that's not an expression of the only I am that ever existed. So much so, he didn't say, tell them my name is I am. He said, I am that I am. Who are you? I get that you're this, but you're not that. I am. I am that. I am. Let me double it. Let me repeat it. I am that. But okay. You can be this. Got it. Great. But you are not also, I am that. I am. But you can't be. If once we say you can't be,
Right.
we literally are limiting who we believe is infinite.
Right.
We put a boundary, a line. You can't be that. I'm that. I am. And so training ourselves that every time we I am, it's not an empty statement.
Right.
It is one of the most profound truths in this universe, in this world, globally, wherever. And appreciating that every time anybody says that. Patience, if we really believe that every single child was an I am expression, I am that I am expression. Let's look at the essence of the world, of the word. If we really believe that every child, every person, every grandma, every was not just an I am expression, but was an expression of I am, of patience. That is a completely different world set that we live in.
Right.
Everybody on TV is a I am expression, not a you are expression. Oh God, I see you over there. That's easier for us to grasp.
Right.
A little bit more challenging for us to grasp is you know how smart God is?
Mm.
You know what words he could have used to express existence? He didn't have to use I am that I am. It was intentionality, patience, the same
Right.
intentionality that you talked about in the very beginning of our convo.
Right.
That's something
Right.
I'm very proud of.
Indeed. And it's quite interesting how you demonstrate these examples to support us to understand, because then I feel like once we are always giving ourselves permission to, make our behaviors, our feelings, expressions, a reflection on ourselves, it will automatically also show up in how we are treating other people. It's like, I mean, you will have no option because you have embraced so much of that, enough of that, to the point where you just get to be kind, treat
Yeah.
people well, respect people, and because all of that is what you have within, so it's really revealing. Thank you so much, Rodney. We'll be bringing our conversation to a close soon, but before we do that, I'm going to ask you two last questions. And
Okay.
then we would wrap up quickly.
Okay.
The last but one question I want to ask you is, how can we build meaningful relationships, like create friendships, build meaningful relationships, whilst utilizing emotional intelligence, like
yes,
building meaningful, long-lasting relationship? I feel like, and I'm asking this question because I feel like most relationships do not live to see the light of day, I would say. Like most relationships get, terminated abruptly, or they don't get to live their full potentials because perhaps whether it's with our family members, our children, partners, romantic partners, our work colleagues, wherever we find ourselves. Most relationships, the relationships we build, some of these relationships do not last because of the lack of consciousness around emotional intelligence. Managing people can be a daunting task, and it requires a lot of consciousness and a great deal of intentionality. And I feel like emotional intelligence has a role to play in how well we are able to manage ourselves and other people and our relationships. So, Rodney, tell us, how can we create meaningful, long-lasting relationships?
Yes.
Demonstrating emotional intelligence.
Can we play a game first?
Sure. I'm up for it.
Right. Left hand, patience. Wiggle your fingers.
My fingers?
Your left hand.
Yes, that's my left hand.
All right. Wiggle your fingers. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yes. Okay. Now, take your hand and cover your eyes.
Okay. Maybe I should take off my...
Yes.
Yes.
Your beautiful frames. Beautiful frames. Okay,
here we go.
Okay, listen to my voice. No peeking. No peeking.
And I need to close my eyes, right?
Well, yes, please close your eyes.
Okay, go.
All right. Now I want you to think about everything that was around you just now that was orange, the color orange. No peeking. Let me give you a few seconds. Name everything around you in your mind that was orange. Okay, stop. Open your eyes. How many items did you think of just now, Patience?
One.
What item was that?
So it's a bottle of multivitamins that I have here. It has orange on it.
Okay. Now what I would like for you to do is look around. You can use your frames if you need to.
Okay.
Take any other orange. What else did we see?
No. No, I don't see any other. Oh, yes, I do see another orange.
Dude, what is that? What is that item?
So it's the box of mine. So that's the frame, the holder.
Ah, yes, for the bag. Yeah, the bag.
Yes.
Okay,
And
okay.
then the box itself too is orange. Yeah.
So was that three things? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I love it. Okay, patience. One more before we get to the answer. One more time.
Okay.
Frames again.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. Left hand, cover back.
Left hand, cover back.
Okay, now eyes closed. I want you to
Mhm.
think of everything,
Mhm.
your space around you that is the color green. Give you a few seconds. Okay, stop. Open your eyes. How many items did you think of just now?
One.
What was that?
That's my sneakers. My canvas of sneakers.
I
Oh
love
my
it.
God.
Okay, put your frames back on. Put your frames back on. Take a scan around.
Oh my God, I'm seeing another green.
What is that?
Okay, so it's a box of my chamomile tea. It has yes, it has green.
I like it. What else? What else? What else is green?
Yeah, so actually there are two boxes of that. I can grab it here.
Yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, this one
Oh, it's green screen. I'm not going to see it. It's a
is
green screen.
green. Yeah, and so I have two additional green boxes that I
Yes.
didn't even think about.
Anything else, patience?
No.
Do me a favor.
Okay.
Turn around behind you. What color is that? Do you...
Oh, this one. Okay, Rodney. So this one, for me, I see it more like a turquoise.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. It might be a little bit going on here. What I see on your screen is the green tree behind you.
Oh my goodness.
It's right
Rodney,
there.
you got me.
It's right there. Okay, why did we do this? Why did we play this game? Right?
Tell me about it.
We played this game because when we first close our eyes and we think, and it's like, there's nothing in this room that's orange. Like, there's nothing in here. And then we open and it's like, oh, okay, that's orange. It's kind of like a light, right? Like orange light, orange light. And then we do it again and we're thinking about orange now. We're thinking about orange. Okay. And we close our eyes again and we hear the word green. It's like, there's nothing that's green. Like, what is, and then we open our eyes and it's green light, green light. Oh, green.
Yeah.
Big green tree.
Yeah.
And so there's nobody came while we had our eyes closed, patience, and changed things.
Right.
Those opportunities, those relationships are here. But our mindset, don't see them as viable relationships.
Right.
We don't see them as opportunities. So they don't even exist. We walk right beside them. We email them. We talk to them. But we are not on the vibe of being able to sustain rapport, right? Yeah. It's a universal principle, such as life. And so as we get to the place where, you know, like getting our nails done, getting a massage, those things can be indicators of me spending time with me getting a nice book and a big comfy blanket and curling up and having a little bit of food to snack. That could be an indicator of me loving self. Right. Yes. But loving self is not something we can touch. Just like loving another person is not something we can touch. It's intangible. And as we go through the process of doing the self-work, the internal, in schools here, they call it homework. Do you guys use the same phrase?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Homework. Yeah.
This is our home. This is where we live. right? But
Yeah.
we don't often do homework,
Mm.
right? We do
Right.
outer work, but we don't often do that intangible work. And
Right.
until I do, patience, I won't see the relationships and especially how to sustain them.
Right.
I won't see it. I have to become different and better.
Mm.
And as I become different and better, you know what's going to happen?
Mm.
Patience is going to post, and I'm going to see it and say, hey, can we have a conversation? And we're going to land here.
Mm.
This isn't your first show.
Right.
This isn't my first time talking about this stuff.
Mhm.
But the work that you've been doing and the
Mm.
work that I've been doing
Mm.
was a green light right in front of us. And this is
Wow.
how life works. And if we find the perfect person,
Mm.
but we have not done the work to sustain it, we can't keep it. I can't put more on you, even if it's a good thing,
Mm.
than you're able to bear. I gotta respect the you that you are.
Right. Thank you so much, Rodney. Thank you so much, Rodney. And just before we wrap up, I just want you to share with us, what would you like to do for fun?
Oh, patience. You're gonna make me say this out loud.
Do you
So
like to do for fun?
patience. Okay. So I'm aware
Mm.
that online I look like such a just the nicest little guy. Like I know
Mm.
that. I
Mm.
know that. What I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
is combat sports, cage fighting, boxing. So
Mm.
I live in Baltimore. I go to Vegas. I go to New York.
Mm.
I buy my ticket. And
Mm.
then I wear my hat and sit low because I don't feel like, a lot of places I go, it's like, Rodney.
Mm.
Not everywhere. I'm not like, some kind of like music star, right?
Right.
But like when I do my sessions or if I'm around organization, especially here in Baltimore, sometimes I don't want to be Mr. Burris
Right.
sometimes. Sometimes I just want to be Rod, sit
Right.
in the back, right? And so what I really enjoy, if I was in Nigeria, for
Mm-hmm.
example,
Mm.
it's a time difference, right?
Oh,
So
you mean Ghana or Nigeria?
are you in Ghana?
Yeah,
I thought you were in Nigeria this whole time. Okay,
Ghana.
no. So if I was in, are you in Accra?
Accra. Yes, Accra.
So if I were also in Accra,
Mm.
you would look over and you would see me. Hey, Rodney, what are you doing? I'm probably looking at a fight that's, I love it. Like, I love it.
Right.
I know who the people are. I
Right.
know who the names are. I know the different organizations around the world.
Mm.
And so that's what I do for fun. And
Right.
I people are like, but you got books and
Mm-hmm.
you're an author. And
Mm.
you, like, yeah, true.
Right.
However, Rod also like this stuff. So I enjoy that a lot.
Right.
Um, I did what I tell my sons, patience. What I tell my sons is, I want you to do it all. I want you to, I want you to be comfortable everywhere you are.
Right.
Brush your teeth and look great. Yeah. Keep your hair cut, sure. But do some push-ups.
Right.
Work out. Be respectful. Be
Mm.
intelligent. Be humble, but also be confident.
Right.
Do it all. Why? Why not? Why not? Why only be, oh, well, I'm only smart and I'm weak. I'm
Mm.
not weak. Well, I'm so cool. I'm so classy, but I don't have respect.
Right.
Be respectful. Be a king amongst kings.
Mm.
Because them being a king don't take nothing from your throne. Salute it. But walk in who you are. I believe that. Patience. That's what I do for fun. I like to see people.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a really insightful discussion here. And just before we wrap up, if any of our listeners would like to connect with you regarding the work that you do, mindset coaching,
Yes,
personal
yes, yes.
development and all of that, could you kindly share with us how we can connect with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll be
Absolutely.
grateful.
So my name is the same across the web. It is
Okay.
Rodney C. Burris. Burris is spelled Burris. So, patience, if your wonderful extended family likes TikTok or LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, like you name it, it's Rodney C. Burris, at Rodney C. Burris. My website is rodneycburris.com. I will do these sorts of sessions and meetings all the time, but I also really enjoy being kind of on the ground.
Okay.
So one, when I make it to Ghana, just be ready because I'm going to give you a shout.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just be ready. But in addition to that, I like to travel for my work. I've done this work in different countries. I've done this in Costa Rica. You know, I told you I've been to South Africa,
Right.
been to Italy, been to Spain, different parts of the Caribbean.
Great.
So I would love to not only just do this virtually with the extended community,
right,
but if and when we could ever figure out a way to streamline and collaborate and be in person, I'm very open to that. It would be my honor. Eat some food, learn some stuff, learn a little bit more about myself in the process. So
absolutely. Thank you so much, Rodney. We really appreciate you making time to be with us on today's episode. And I am hopeful that the practical strategies and the discussions we've had here will be supportive of our listeners. And we look forward to having you back on another episode soon.
Absolutely. Patience, I have a request for you. Your voice is so unique. I would love for you to record some sort of like, just literally what you just said.
Right.
And use it like as an introduction, maybe. I don't know. But I would love to just kind of sample out your voice and use it maybe in an audio setting or something like that. I don't know, but I like the flow of your voice.
Thank
so
you.
with me kind of, you know, being able to use it. I would love to link with you some sort of way. You record it, maybe even on WhatsApp. I don't know. You record it, we use it and run with it. So
absolutely, I can make that happen. Thank you so much, Rodney. We really appreciate you making time, and